Do you want people to respect you without asking? Control your reactivity, because what most betrays your weakness is not your silence, but your urgency to break it. Every time you respond to the immediate impulse, you lose a little more power. Every time you justify yourself, every time you clarify something no one asked you about, every time you defend your point in an irrelevant battle, you are saying without meaning to, "I care too much about what you think of me." And that makes you manipulable. But if you resist, if you learn to hold the void, if you stand firm when everything inside you screams to explode, then you are building something stronger than any argument, a mental image in the minds of others that doesn't erase easily. Because here is the brutal truth. The perception others have of you doesn't depend so much on what you do, but on what you allow them to believe. The human mind hates gaps. It hates empty spaces. And when you become one of those spaces, they strive to understand you. And in that attempt, they elevate you. Because whoever masters their emotions, masters perception. And whoever masters perception, masters the game. Now tell me, do you believe respect is earned by speaking louder than others? Do you think it's imposed with speeches, forced smiles, with an artificial presence? True respect is not asked for, it's not demanded, it's not acted out. It is imposed without permission. And that, only those who have understood the most feared weapon of the modern human being achieve: absolute self-control. But here's the irony. We live in an era where value is measured in decibels, where everyone shouts who they are, what they feel, what they think, what they've achieved, what they've suffered. And the more you talk, the more you empty yourself. The more you expose, the more you give away. The more you share, the weaker you become. Because you have fallen into the trap. The trap of emotional overexposure, of false authenticity, of the be yourself that really just means show us everything so we can judge you better. But the truly dangerous ones don't play that game. They don't show themselves. They don't justify themselves. They don't explain themselves. They observe, they wait, they calculate, and when they speak, they are not forgotten. Because they have understood something you perhaps haven't yet. Silence is not absence, it is strategy. History is full of men and women who were not the most charismatic, nor the most talkative, nor the most visible, but were the most influential. Do you know why? Because they understood that respect is not negotiated with words. It is built on perception. And perception is not controlled from outside. It is sown from within. Silence is uncomfortable for those who don't understand it. Silence is violent for those who live exposed. Silence is unbearable for those who cannot live with themselves. But for those who know themselves, who control themselves, who master their inner world, silence is a field of power. It is a closed room where everyone becomes uneasy and you grow stronger. Here is the real secret that Machiavelli never wrote directly, but that was implicit in every line. The human being fears what they cannot read, respects what they cannot anticipate, and submits to those who do not need validation. Look around. Observe those you admire the most. What do they have in common? It's not what they say, it's what they keep silent about. It's not what they show, it's what they choose not to reveal. Emotional mastery is not shouted, it is breathed. It is that unbreakable calm in the face of chaos. That gaze that doesn't blink when everyone else loses control. That way of being without trying to stand out, and yet dominating the scene. Do you feel it? That is the power that is not taught in books. The one you don't learn in motivational speeches. It is the power of one who has fought against themselves and won. Of one who has felt the impulse to react, to explode, to take revenge, to prove something and hasn't done it. Not out of fear, not out of weakness, but because they knew that doing so would make them lose something more valuable than any impulse: control. And here comes the hardest part. The world is not made for you to be like this. The system needs you to react, to expose yourself, to speed up, to talk too much, to let yourself go. Because only when you get upset, when you let yourself be dragged by emotion, are you predictable. And only when you are predictable, are you manipulable. That is why this video is not for everyone. This video does not seek likes. It does not seek approval. This video is for the one who has already felt that they don't fit in, that their silence makes others uncomfortable, that their way of being awakens suspicion. For the one who has understood that they don't need to shout to be respected, that they don't need to explain their worth. That they don't need to explain their worth. This video is for the one who has chosen the lonelier but more powerful path: emotional mastery. So before you continue, stop for a second and ask yourself this brutal question. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you don't have to prove anything? Do you feel at peace, or does your own silence terrify you? Because here is where transformation begins. Here is where true leaders are forged, those who don't ask for permission. Here is where you learn that respect is not negotiated. It emanates. Prepare yourself, because what you are about to discover will not make you more popular. It will make you more dangerous. And now listen to this carefully, because it is a truth rarely spoken aloud. The most unsettling power is not the one exercised, but the one intuited. The power that floats in the atmosphere without needing to show itself. The one that cannot be defined, but that everyone recognizes. And that power comes from a source much deeper than intelligence or strength. It comes from absolute control over your own image, over what others believe you are, without needing to confirm it. Have you noticed how there are people who don't need to say they are in charge? And yet, everyone follows them? They haven't raised their voice. They haven't boasted achievements. They haven't announced their presence. But they are there. And when they are, everything falls into place. The room gets ordered. The gazes adjust. Do you know why? Because they have mastered the art of becoming a psychological figure. A presence that does not depend on volume, but on carefully crafted perception. And here we're not talking about falseness. It's not about pretending. It's about choosing which parts of yourself are revealed and which never come to light. Most live exposed like a poorly lit storefront, where everything is shown without order or meaning. But the true emotional strategists don't give full access. They are like a book that always seems to have a page torn out. And that creates fascination, intrigue, respect, because what is not said becomes mystery, and mystery, well managed, is a weapon. Here is a golden rule that very few understand. Strategic silence is not passivity, it is covert provocation. When you decide not to respond, not to react, not to participate in the noise, you are sending a message more powerful than any argument. You are saying, my attention is a privilege, not a right. And that simple act changes the entire dynamic. Watch any conversation. The one who talks the most usually seeks approval. The one who is silent, however, watches as masks crumble. Because silence not only makes people uncomfortable, it also reveals other people's insecurities, reveals hidden urgencies, reveals weaknesses in real time. And while everyone tries to fill the void of their own uncertainty, you become the mirror no one wants to look into. Machiavelli didn't say it directly, but it was in his essence. A leader must not be completely transparent, because constant transparency is weakness. The one who reveals everything loses all their maneuvering room. The one who explains everything ends up trapped in their own narrative. But the one who leaves questions unanswered becomes an unreachable figure. Because what cannot be classified cannot be destroyed. And there is something even more interesting. A silent consequence of this mastery. Invisible authority. That presence that does not need to be imposed because it is breathed. It's not about fear nor distance. It's about a precise combination of calm, certainty, and mystery. The kind of authority that is not discussed, because there is nothing to compare it to. While everyone competes to call attention, you choose when to appear. While everyone reacts, you decide when to act. While everyone wears themselves out trying to be relevant, you keep your energy intact. And that gives you advantage. Because energy is the new gold, and whoever conserves it commands. You don't need to be the strongest. You don't need to be the smartest. You just need to be the most enigmatic. The one who never fully shows themselves. The one who makes every appearance an event. And that's why true confidence is felt, not explained. It manifests in how you enter a place, in how you look, in how you choose when to speak, in how you keep composure when everyone loses control. That is the authority that cannot be bought. It cannot be inherited. It is built. And it is protected with every chosen silence, with every mastered emotion, with every word you decide not to utter. But be careful, because this is not for everyone. Not everyone is ready to stop reacting. Not everyone has the temperament to not explain themselves, to not respond, to not justify their steps. Most need noise to feel alive. They need to be seen, approved, applauded, because if the world doesn't reflect them back, they feel like they don't exist. And that's where you decide, will you be just another? Will you run after attention like an emotional beggar? Or will you become that figure that confuses, intimidates, fascinates, effortlessly? Because respect is not built with constant presence. It is built with strategic absences, with intentional silences, with a carefully crafted image, not overexposed. And when you understand this, everything changes. You no longer react to the world. You make it react to you. So now I leave you with one question. What would happen if from today you stopped proving and started mastering? Because that is the final point. People don't respect the one who talks the most. They respect the one who could talk and doesn't. They respect the one who has power and holds it. They respect the one who could destroy but chooses not to. That and only that is true mastery. Silence is not the absence of words. It is the presence of control. It is the ultimate proof that you can contain the fire without needing to put it out. That you can hold your inner world without leaking it out. That you can see everything burning around you and still walk without haste, without shouting, without breaking. Because there is a brutal difference between seeming strong and being unbreakable. Seeming strong is a facade, an act, a mask that falls with the slightest pressure. But being unbreakable is moving through the world as if you already know nothing can truly touch you. And that is the final point of all this. You are not here to fit in. You are here to dominate your space, so that your mere presence rearranges chaos, so that your silence becomes a storm in the minds of those who cannot understand you. Because authentic security, the one that doesn't waver, does not come from the opinion of others. It is born from the daily ritual of not betraying yourself, of not selling yourself for approval, of not speaking when your silence says more. You don't need validation. You need vision. And above all, you need patience. Patience to build yourself stone by stone, to not fall into the trap of urgency, to not explain yourself when they want to provoke you. Because what is truly powerful is built without witnesses. And if you have felt that this was not just another video, but a direct reflection of who you are or who you could become, subscribe. Because this channel is not for those who need cheap motivation. It's for those who are building mental fortitude,